We live in a world where attraction can feel instant, but clarity rarely is. You meet someone, there's a spark, your heart races, and suddenly, you're imagining the whole future before you even know their middle name. But here's the hard truth: chemistry doesn't always mean compatibility. We confuse excitement with certainty, passion with partnership. And that's where most of us get stuck. So, how do you actually know when someone is right for you? Not just fun, not just thrilling, not just someone who knows the right words, but truly right for you, for your future, for your peace of mind. Today, I want to give you 5 signs that go deeper than butterflies. Because butterflies fade. These signs are the compass that will guide you when the spark isn't enough. When real love requires more than just infatuation. When we talk about knowing if someone is right for you, most people start with chemistry. They'll say, I just know because I feel it. The connection is insane. I can't stop thinking about them. And while that sounds romantic, it's also one of the biggest traps people fall into. Chemistry is powerful, but it's not proof. Attraction can fool us, it can trick our brains into overlooking red flags, and it can make us justify behavior that doesn't serve us. What actually tells you whether someone is right for you isn't the rush you feel in the beginning. It's whether your values line up in the long run. Values are the invisible foundation of any relationship. Think of it like building a house. You can paint the walls, decorate the rooms, even design the perfect kitchen. But if the foundation is cracked, the whole house is unstable. Chemistry is like the paint. It looks beautiful, it excites you, but it won't stop the house from collapsing if the foundation is wrong. That foundation is built on your values, how you live your life, what you believe in, how you treat people, and what matters most to you. If those things clash with the person you're with, no amount of sparks will make it sustainable. Here's the problem most of us face. We don't always know our own values clearly before stepping into a relationship. We get swept up in the rush and only later realize, wait, this person doesn't want the same kind of life I do. Maybe you want marriage and kids one day, and they've openly said they never see themselves being a parent. Maybe you thrive on growth, you love pushing yourself, and you're with someone who's content staying comfortable and never improving. Or maybe you value honesty and transparency, but you find yourself with someone who's evasive or secretive. These misalignments don't always show up in the first week. Sometimes they reveal themselves slowly when the initial intensity begins to fade, and that's when it becomes crystal clear whether you're truly on the same page or not. What makes alignment so important is that values are the things you fall back on when life gets hard. When challenges show up, and they will, the common ground you share will either bring you closer together or push you apart. Imagine one person deeply values family and wants to spend weekends around loved ones, while the other thinks family is more of a burden and prefers to be independent. At first, that difference might not seem like a big deal, but over time, resentment starts to grow. You'll find yourself constantly negotiating between what you need and what they resist, and it begins to chip away at the relationship. But when 2 people value the same things, even if life gets tough, there's a sense of partnership in facing it together. Let me give you a practical way to know whether your values align. Pay less attention to what someone says and more to how they live. Anyone can tell you, I care about kindness, but if they're rude to waiters or dismissive of people they don't need something from, that's their true value system in action. They might tell you, I really value growth, but if you never see them reading, learning, or challenging themselves in any way, you'll know growth is just a nice word for them, not a lived principle. It's easy to say the right things when we're trying to impress someone. It's harder to fake consistency in our daily lives. And here's something you have to be brutally honest about. Don't fall in love with potential. Too many people ignore value differences because they believe the other person will change. You tell yourself, sure, they don't want a committed relationship now, but maybe in a year they'll be ready. Or, they're not very ambitious, but maybe once we're together, they'll find their drive. That mindset is a recipe for disappointment. You can't build a relationship based on who you hope someone will become. You can only build it on who they are today. If their current values don't match yours, hoping they'll shift into alignment later is a dangerous gamble. Attraction can create an illusion of compatibility where none exists. You may feel like you've found your soulmate, but if the life they want is completely different from yours, you're going to hit a wall. Real compatibility is boring to describe but magical to live. It's not about the fireworks, it's about the quiet moments where you realize you don't have to fight to be understood. You want the same things, you care about the same principles, and you're moving in the same direction. That's when being with someone starts to feel effortless. Not because life has no challenges, but because you're rowing the boat in the same direction instead of constantly pulling against each other. So if you want to know whether someone is truly right for you, look beyond the butterflies. Ask yourself, do we want the same kind of life? Do we share the same beliefs about love, family, honesty, ambition, respect? And be honest about the answers you find. It's not about being judgmental, it's about protecting your future. The right person isn't just the one who excites you, it's the one who shares your compass. So that when life takes you on its twists and turns, you know you're heading toward the same destination together. One of the most dangerous mistakes people make in relationships is getting swept away by words. We hear someone tell us what we've always wanted to hear, and suddenly we believe they're the one. They say, "I've never felt this way about anyone," or "I see a real future with you." And those sentences hit us like lightning. But here's what you must understand. Words don't cost anything. Promises don't take effort. Beautiful speeches don't demand commitment. What actually matters is whether those words are consistently backed up with action over time. Consistency is the real test of whether someone is right for you. When someone's actions align with their words, it builds trust. Trust is not created by a single grand gesture. It's built in the small, repeated moments where someone shows up in the way they said they would. If they tell you they'll call after work, do they actually call? If they say they want a serious relationship, do they live like someone who's truly ready for that commitment? If they claim they value honesty, do they tell you the truth even when it's uncomfortable? It's in those everyday patterns that you see who a person really is. Grand declarations might make your heart race, but it's consistency that makes your heart safe. Think about it like this: if someone gave you 400,000 once, you'd be impressed. But if someone gave you 10 every day for years, that steady flow would be far more impactful in the long run. Relationships work the same way. A surprise vacation or a love letter is wonderful, but if it's surrounded by weeks of silence, neglect, or broken promises, it doesn't matter. The right person isn't just about high peaks of romance. They're about consistent effort that makes you feel secure every single day. The tricky part is that inconsistency often hides behind excuses. Someone might say, "I'm just really busy," or "That's just how I am," or "You know how much I care. I don't have to prove it all the time." But real love doesn't need excuses. If someone truly cares, they will find ways to show it. Business is not an obstacle. When you genuinely value someone, it's a challenge you find solutions for. And while everyone has different love languages, consistency is universal. Even if they're not naturally expressive with words, the right person will still find a steady way of showing you that you matter. Here's the truth: many people don't want to admit when someone's inconsistent. It's not because they don't know how to be consistent. It's because they don't feel enough urgency to be consistent with you. People will move mountains when they truly want to. They'll stay up late, they'll drive across town, they'll rearrange schedules. If they're not doing it, it's not because they can't. It's because, at least right now, they don't want it badly enough. And that's a bitter pill to swallow, but it's better than spending years waiting for someone to step up when they've already shown you they won't. Consistency also reveals character during conflict. Anyone can be attentive and sweet when everything is easy. The real test is how they treat you when there's tension, stress, or disagreement. Do they still communicate? Do they still show respect? Do they still keep showing up even when they're frustrated? Because if their love disappears the moment things get hard, then what they offered wasn't love, it was convenience. The right person doesn't only show up when it's comfortable, they show up when it's uncomfortable too. Now, I don't mean to suggest that the right partner will never slip. Nobody is perfect. Everyone misses a call, forgets something, or makes a mistake here and there. The difference is that the right person owns their inconsistency and works to correct it. They don't dismiss your feelings or make excuses. They acknowledge when they fall short and show effort to do better. That's how you know you're with someone who cares not by their perfection, but by their commitment to grow and be reliable for you. And let's be honest about what inconsistency feels like. It makes you question yourself constantly. One moment they're fully present, making you feel like the most important person in the world, and the next they're distant, cold, or unreliable. That emotional roller coaster is exhausting, and it's not love, it's instability. Love isn't supposed to make you feel like you're walking on eggshells, wondering which version of them you'll get today. Love is supposed to feel steady, even when life isn't. That steadiness is what allows intimacy to grow. You can't truly open your heart to someone if you're constantly doubting whether they'll still be there tomorrow. Vulnerability requires safety, and safety comes from consistency. Imagine building a bridge. You wouldn't drive across it if half the planks were missing, no matter how beautifully designed it looked from the outside. You'd only trust it if every plank was reliably in place. Relationships are the same. Consistency is the bridge that allows you to fully cross over and give yourself to someone without fear of falling. So if you want to know whether someone is right for you, stop focusing on how good they are at the start and start noticing how consistent they are over time. Do they follow through? Do they make effort not just when it's exciting, but when it's ordinary? Do they show the same level of care 6 months in as they did on the first date? Because anyone can shine in the beginning, but only someone who's truly invested will shine steadily long after the novelty fades. Remember this, love is not proven by intensity, it's proven by consistency. Intensity might sweep you off your feet, but consistency is what holds you when life gets messy. The right person doesn't make you wonder, doesn't make you guess, doesn't leave you waiting by the phone. They simply show up. Again and again. And in that reliability, you'll find something far more powerful than fireworks. You'll find peace, security, and a love you can actually build a future on. One of the clearest signs that someone is right for you isn't how exciting they make your life feel, but how safe they make you feel. Safety in a relationship doesn't mean you never have disagreements, and it doesn't mean they protect you from every challenge life throws your way. It means you can breathe when you're with them. You don't have to perform, you don't have to shrink, and you don't have to fear that being fully yourself will push them away. Safety is about knowing that your vulnerabilities are respected, your feelings matter, and your heart won't be weaponized against you. Without that kind of emotional safety, love feels like walking through a minefield, always unsure if the next step will blow up in your face. With safety, love becomes the ground you can stand on firmly, no matter how much the world shakes around you. When you meet someone who is right for you, you notice that you don't feel like you're auditioning. Too many people get into relationships where they're constantly trying to impress, to be good enough, to meet some invisible standard that changes with the other person's mood. That's not love, that's anxiety disguised as intimacy. The right partner doesn't require you to wear a mask. You can tell them when you're scared, when you're insecure, when you've made a mistake. And instead of using it as ammunition, they hold space for it. They don't judge you for being human. They appreciate that you trust them enough to let them see the messy parts too. Emotional safety doesn't mean there's no accountability. The right person doesn't just comfort you, they also challenge you, but they do it from a place of love, not criticism. There's a difference between someone who points out your flaws to tear you down and someone who gently highlights where you can grow, because they want to see you become your best self. The right person is not threatened by your growth. They don't hold you back because your shine makes them feel insecure. Instead, they celebrate it because they understand that your evolution strengthens not just you, but the relationship as well. This is why emotional safety and growth go hand in hand. If you only feel safe but never challenged, the relationship becomes stagnant. It may feel comfortable, but it won't help you evolve. On the other hand, if you're constantly challenged without safety, the relationship feels like pressure, like you're under constant scrutiny. The balance of both, being safe enough to be yourself and supported enough to grow into more of yourself, is what makes the connection truly right. Think about how you feel after spending time with someone. Do you feel drained, second-guessing everything you said, wondering if you upset them or failed to meet their expectations? Or do you feel lighter, stronger, more inspired to take on the world? That feeling is the energy of the relationship. The right person lifts you, not by solving your problems, but by believing in you and giving you space to rise. The wrong person keeps you small, whether consciously or unconsciously, because your insecurity benefits them. It makes you easier to control, easier to keep dependent. The right person wants to see you grow wings, even if it means you could one day fly higher than them, because their love is not about ownership, it's about partnership. Here's an example many people overlook. When you succeed, how does your partner react? Do they celebrate with you genuinely, or do they subtly downplay it, change the subject, or even make it about themselves? The wrong person will see your growth as a threat. The right person will see it as a victory for both of you. They'll push you to dream bigger, to take risks, to believe in your potential, because your evolution doesn't diminish them. It excites them. That's growth within safety, and it's one of the clearest signs you're with the right partner. Emotional safety also shows up in how conflict is handled. Every couple fights, but not every couple fights in the same way. In the wrong relationship, disagreements become wars. Words are used as weapons, silence becomes punishment, and mistakes are held over your head like chains. In the right relationship, conflict doesn't destroy safety, it deepens it. You can argue, disagree, even get frustrated. But beneath it all, there's a foundation of respect. You don't have to fear that one fight will end everything, because the bond is stronger than a single moment. The right person listens. They don't just wait for their turn to speak. They try to understand, not just to win. And even in anger, they don't cross lines that can't be uncrossed. That's how you know you're safe. Another layer of this is how you feel about being vulnerable with your dreams and fears. The wrong partner will make you feel silly for wanting more, or they'll use your fears to manipulate you. The right one will treat your dreams with reverence and your fears with compassion. They won't dismiss your insecurities, they'll reassure them. They won't mock your ambitions, they'll nurture them. This is what makes you grow. You start taking bigger steps in life because you know someone has your back. You're not afraid of failing because even if you fall, you know you'll land in safe hands. Ultimately, the measure of emotional safety and growth is how much you feel like yourself in the relationship. Are you expanding or shrinking? Are you becoming bolder or quieter? Do you feel like your voice is growing stronger, or do you feel silenced over time? The right person is like sunlight, you flourish around them. The wrong person is like shade, you wither without even realizing it. That's why this sign is so important. It's not about whether someone makes you feel butterflies, it's about whether they make you feel like the best version of yourself. So when you're trying to figure out if someone is right for you, ask yourself this: do I feel safe to be fully me around them? And do I feel like I'm becoming more of myself, not less, because of this relationship? If the answer is yes, you've found something rare, because true love is not just about being adored, it's about being free to grow, knowing that the person beside you will cheer you on every step of the way. One of the most overlooked but powerful signs that someone is right for you is mutual investment. And I don't mean money, I mean the energy, time, and effort both of you are willing to put into making the relationship thrive. Relationships are not supposed to be carried on one person's back, they are partnerships. If you find yourself constantly chasing, constantly proving, constantly pouring while the other person simply receives, that's not a partnership. That's a performance where one person gives and the other just takes. The right relationship feels balanced because both people are equally invested in building it. Think about how much relief there is when you don't have to wonder if you're the only one trying. When you're the only one reaching out, the only one planning, the only one checking in, it eats away at your confidence. You start asking yourself, am I too much? Am I pushing too hard? Do they even care as much as I do? But when you're with the right person, that anxiety melts away because their actions match yours. They text first sometimes, they plan dates, they ask how your day was, they show effort without needing to be reminded. That's the beauty of mutual investment. It creates peace instead of insecurity. Many people get stuck in relationships where the scales are tipped. One person does the heavy lifting emotionally, while the other just coasts. And at first, you might convince yourself it's fine. You tell yourself, maybe they're just not expressive. Or maybe I just care more, and that's okay. But over time, the imbalance becomes impossible to ignore. You begin to feel drained, because love isn't supposed to feel like pulling a dead weight. It's supposed to feel like two people carrying something together. The right person makes you feel like you're on the same team, not like you're dragging them onto the field. Mutual investment also means that when challenges come up, both people take responsibility for protecting the relationship. In a one-sided connection, problems are often ignored by the less invested partner, leaving the more invested one to overcompensate. They're the ones initiating difficult conversations, apologizing even when they're not wrong, constantly trying to repair cracks. But in a healthy relationship, the other person steps up too. They don't let issues fester. They don't leave you hanging in uncertainty. They work with you to solve problems. That shared accountability is a huge sign you're with someone who is right for you. Another sign of mutual investment is effort in growth. The right person won't let the relationship go stale. They'll look for ways to keep the connection alive, whether it's through small gestures of affection, trying new experiences together, or continuing to learn about you even after years together. Relationships die when people stop investing. When they think, I've already won them, I don't need to try anymore. That's when passion fades and resentment builds. But the right partner understands that love is not a one-time achievement, it's a daily practice. They invest continuously, not out of obligation, but because they value what you share too much to let it wither. Mutual investment also protects you from games. In the wrong relationships, you'll often feel like you have to earn attention. You'll wait hours or days for replies. You'll feel punished for caring too much. You'll wonder if you should pull back just so they chase you. That dynamic is toxic because it turns love into a competition of who can care less. In a relationship with true mutual investment, you don't play those games. You don't have to hold back your affection out of fear of looking desperate because your affection is met with equal enthusiasm. You don't have to question your worth because their actions constantly affirm it. Both of you are giving freely and both of you feel secure because you know you're equally chosen. It's also worth pointing out that mutual investment doesn't mean equal in every single moment. Relationships are not a perfect 50-50 every day. Sometimes one person gives more because the other is struggling and then the roles reverse. What matters is that over time, the scales balance out. If one of you is going through stress at work, the other may step up more emotionally. If one is dealing with loss or illness, the other may carry more weight temporarily. But the balance always comes back because both people are committed to giving when they can. That flexibility is what makes love resilient. You both know that when life knocks one of you down, the other will show up without hesitation. Mutual investment also shows in long-term vision. The right person doesn't just talk about someday in vague terms, they actively work with you to build a future. They make space for you in their plans. They consider you when making decisions. They talk about instead of just me. It's not just about romantic gestures today, but about intentional steps toward tomorrow. They invest not only in the present connection, but in the life you're building together. And that's what separates someone who's temporarily excited from someone who's truly right for you. You should also pay attention to how mutual investment feels emotionally. When you're the only one giving, you'll eventually feel resentful, exhausted, or unworthy. But when investment is shared, you feel energized. You don't mind putting in effort because you can see and feel their effort too. It becomes a cycle of giving that fuels itself instead of one person pouring into a bottomless pit. That's why mutual investment is one of the strongest indicators of the right relationship. It transforms effort from something draining into something rewarding. At the end of the day, love isn't just about how someone makes you feel in the moment. It's about how they show up for you again and again. The right partner invests not just when it's easy, not just when it's exciting, but also when it's inconvenient, when it requires sacrifice, when it demands effort. And you'll know it's mutual because you'll feel it in the balance. You'll see them giving as much as you are without needing to beg or bargain for it. That kind of reciprocity is rare, and when you find it, you'll realize that love isn't supposed to feel like a chase. It's supposed to feel like two people walking side by side, carrying the load together, investing equally in something that matters to both of them.